If the economy is so great, why does it feel like every trip to the grocery store is a financial battle? Why are our credit card defaults hitting 2008 levels? Every official metric says the economy is fine, unemployment is low, GDP is growing, the media is celebrating a soft landing. The recession isn't coming, it's already here. You're just being gaslit by the data. See, recessions are always declared retroactively. The National Bureau of Economic Research doesn't announce a recession while it's happening. They wait 6 to 18 months to gather comprehensive data confirmation. In 2008, the world was already ending for a full year before they officially admitted it. We are currently living in that blind spot where the lived experience of millions of Americans has far outpaced the spreadsheets in Washington. Let's start with the North Star of the booming economy, the 4.4% unemployment rate. On paper, it sounds great, but it only counts people who are actively looking for work, meaning you've applied for a job in the last 4 weeks. Since the pandemic, more than 1.6 million Americans have simply stopped looking for work. These people haven't found jobs. They've disappeared from the statistics entirely. Labor force participation has dropped by nearly 1.5% compared to pre-pandemic levels. If you added those vanished workers back into the pool, the unemployment headline would look a lot less like a celebration and a lot more like a crisis. But it gets even weirder when you look at the quality of the jobs being created. Over the last few years, full-time positions have been systematically disappearing, replaced by part-time gigs. Here is the accounting magic. If one full-time worker gets laid off and takes two part-time jobs just to stay afloat, the government counts that as two net jobs added. Let me make that real. Sarah was a marketing manager at a Fortune 500 company. She made $95,000 a year with health insurance and a 401k. She got laid off in March. Now she drives Uber in the morning and tutors kids on Zoom at night. Together, those two gigs pay her about $41,000 with no benefits, no retirement, and no sick days. But the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they count her twice. Two jobs added. Progress. And it's not just white-collar workers. Mike spent 22 years on a factory floor in Ohio making auto parts. The plant closed when they moved production to Mexico. He's 54 years old. Nobody's hiring a 54-year-old machinist. So he stopped applying. He doesn't show up in the unemployment rate at all. As far as the economy is concerned, Mike doesn't exist. We are replacing careers with hustles. There are currently 4.4 million Americans working part-time because they cannot find full-time work. It's like saying the housing market is healthy because everyone has a roof over their head while ignoring that they all moved from 3-bedroom houses into studio apartments. The employment stats look healthy, but income security is vanishing. If this is the kind of breakdown you're not getting anywhere else, subscribe. Because what comes next is the part that makes the whole picture click into place. Now, if you listen to the mainstream media, consumer spending is resilient, but they're looking at the wrong end of the pipe. The real story isn't that people are spending more because they are wealthy, it's that they are spending more because the cost of survival has skyrocketed. Since 2020, cumulative inflation has jumped over 25%, and the safety net holding the average household together is starting to snap. The average American family used to put away about $500 a month. Now it's closer to $250. And that's not because they decided to spend more. It's because they have no choice. The grocery bill went up, the insurance went up, the rent went up, the paycheck didn't. We've seen this movie before in 2007, right before the floor fell out. But the most damning evidence The one the soft landing crowd refuses to talk about is the leading economic index. The LEI tracks 10 components of the economy: manufacturing orders, building permits, stock prices, credit conditions, consumer expectations. It's not a guess, it's a composite signal designed specifically to predict where we are headed. And right now, it has declined for 6 consecutive months. Not a dip, not a wobble, 6 months of uninterrupted decline. This is the exact same pattern that flashed red before the 2001 dot-com crash. The exact same pattern before the 2008 financial crisis. What does that mean for you? It means the jobs market, the housing market, and the credit market are all flashing the same signal at the same time. The last two times that happened, millions of people lost their homes and the stock market dropped 50%. It's like your car's check engine light, oil pressure warning, and brake light all coming on at the same time. You can ignore the lights, but you can't ignore the fact that the engine is about to seize. And it's not just consumers feeling it, the corporate world is cracking too. Commercial bankruptcies have surged 7%, reaching over 24,000 filings, the highest level in over a decade. Bed Bath & Beyond, Silicon Valley Bank, Yellow Corporation, one of the oldest trucking companies in America, gone. WeWork, once valued at $47 billion, filed for bankruptcy, owing $18 billion. The companies that survived on cheap pandemic money are finally hitting the wall of high interest rates. This isn't a soft landing. It's a quiet implosion happening while the headlines tell you everything is fine. So step back for a second. Every metric they show you on the news, unemployment, GDP, inflation, has been optimized to look good, not to be good. The entire dashboard is compromised, and we're supposed to trust it to warn us when something goes wrong. There's actually a name for this. An economist named Charles Goodhart figured it out back in 1975. He called it Goodhart's Law. The moment a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. And every single metric I just showed you, it's been turned into a target. Unemployment is managed to lower the headline number so they stop counting people who gave up. GDP counts credit-driven spending exactly the same as income-driven spending. If the government borrows $1 trillion to subsidize an industry that doesn't need subsidizing, the GDP goes up. The debt goes up too, but that's a different spreadsheet. Inflation metrics are revised and reweighted to manage the index rather than reflect your actual cost of living. We are no longer measuring reality, we're managing a scoreboard. And the gap between the official data and what you actually feel when you open your bank app, that gap is where the recession is hiding. When the NBER eventually declares that we're in a recession, it won't be news. It will just be a late confirmation of what anyone paying attention already knew. There's a DoorDash driver in Phoenix right now, working his third shift today, who used to be a software engineer at Cisco. He shows up in the unemployment data as employed. He shows up in the GDP as consumer spending. On paper, he's the recovery. He hasn't told his kids they lost the house yet. And there are thousands more just like him. In every city, in every state, nurses picking up night shifts at 2 hospitals, teachers driving for Lyft on weekends, construction workers who used to build houses now delivering packages for Amazon. All of them showing up in the data as proof that the system is working. The economy people live in and the economy being reported on the news are no longer the same thing. The real economy leaves clues: deteriorating labor markets, silent corporate collapses, and an index that's been screaming red for 6 months. These are the check engine lights, and every single one of them is flashing. The only question is, who was prepared and who was blindsided? I'll see you in the next one.